Hello, my name is Mark and welcome to I Am Organic Gardening. So, the best thing is we got rain finally, and we're going to check the rain gauge in a little bit. It's been past 60 days, but we got a good fair amount of rain. And also, I'm going to show you in the soil that's in the back of my garden why we need to plant a cover crop and why we need to enhance, build, and make our soil survive over winter. So the reason a cover crop is to do something is to let air and water in the ground, and that's very important. That's 50% of the purpose of your soil. You know, also it's to supply nutrients to your plants, but you have to understand 50% of that soil is air and water. So we need to expand that now with a cover crop so it can do what it's meant to do in nature. And also, when you do this, you're going to have less problem with your plants, your vegetable plants next year in the garden. You're going to store water in the garden, so you're going to water less. Water is probably the number one thing that's most people are worried about lately. You know, buying seeds is one thing, but water is getting very expensive and very lacking in certain areas. Now, this kind of woke me up again because we had over 60 days of maybe just a quarter inch of rain, and I mentioned this in other videos too. So I want to do now is I want to store that water that I'm going to get for free over winter, and that's in my area. Now, if you might not have a winter with snow or really cold freezing temperatures, but you might just have a cool season where it just gets cooler than normal and more rainfall. So that might just be natural in your area, but we want to store that water in the ground, and we want to store that in the first foot of our soil so our plants don't have to worry about things, and we want to get a mulch on top. So we want to save something for mulch later on, but right now we want to grow a cover crop. So that's the reason of the video, is that we want to do the cover crop now as early as possible so we can retain that water in the soil, build our soil, make our soil healthy, and that makes us healthy because it grows nice nutrient dense vegetables for us. And I have a different type of tomato plant behind me, and they're just ripening up now. I had some great salsa over Labor Day weekend. Oh, to die for. It's just great to grow your own tomatoes, your own vegetables, and there's nothing like picking it, processing it a little bit, you know, making a little salsa, or adding something to your sandwich, or having a meal with some fresh vegetables, whatever you want to do. The taste is outstanding, and it's that inner feeling that we get in growing our own food that just brings more of a happiness smile to our face and enjoy it. Now, there's also a decline to it too sometimes, and it doesn't work out the way it's supposed to, or bugs get to us too. But hey, welcome to the world of farming. That's what it is. You never met a rich farmer in your life or something like that. If you did, you probably sold his farm and got a lot of money for it. But growing stuff, you're never gonna make that much money. But it's the love of the soil, and it's the love of the life. So let me show you some nice tomatoes here, and then I'm going to take you in the back of the garden, and I want to show you why it's so important to go grow a cover crop. And this hopefully will resonate with you, that you can see what I'm talking about and understand a little bit about soil health and the reason why we grow a cover crop. Now, with this current last rain, we got a nice abundance of tomatoes. I just picked these over Labor Day weekend, and these are ripened up. It's about 4 days later or 3 days later than Labor Day weekend, and you can see how well they're doing on this tomato plant. This is a early variety, believe it or not, and you can just see here how gorgeous they are. Again, they're a little bit small this year because of the drought, but again, no diseases, no problem, and they survive without watering. So here's my high-tech rain gauge, which is a piece of plastic tubing and a little float on the bottom. But you can see on the bottom here, we got about 3/4 of an inch of rain. Oh, I'm just so happy. It's just amazing. It's just nice to see that the ground is not so dry anymore. So here I am at the very back of my garden before it goes out to my farm over here, which is 22 acres. Now, I don't know if you can see this, and I'll be getting a better close-up. Right here we have a row of soil or dirt right now because it's been dehydrated and not much microorganisms are living in it, and it's not really doing that much. That's why we need a cover crop. We never want to leave the soil bare. But there's a key point I want to show here. Here's a wood chip pathway that's about, let's say, 4, 5, about maybe anywhere from 8 to 10 feet wide, and it has some soil here and soil here. But before it rained, I planted a cover crop here in the ground, and it's just starting to sprout. It only took about 4 days, and it's called a tillage radish, and I'll be making another video about that because it's a great thing to have in your garden, especially this year, and I'll explain why. So let's get a closer look at the soil that's in there with the tillage radish growing already in some areas. This is what I want to explain to you, is that we got 3/4 of an inch rain, and I felt that's like a lot of rain for what we've not had in a while. So the surface was kind of wet yesterday because it only stopped raining yesterday. It rained for 3 days, but a nice, slow, gentle rain, and it didn't run off. But I want to show here, and you can see these little green sprouts, and that's my tillage radish coming up. So, and again, that's going to be in a separate video. And what's interesting about this, you can kind of see here where the ground is a little bit on the moist side right now. But if you go down just off the top surface here, you say, wow, Mark, that's really good stuff. Look at that soil. Now, if we dig a little deeper here, like so, that you can see that it's still kind of moist on top, and we only need that little moisture. But if we get down to, like, say, this spot over here, where I'm digging right now, you can see that it's really dry. You know, that's not wet at all. It's just that top surface area that finally got wet and accepted moisture. That's what I want to relay to you right now in this video. These cover crops here, everywhere a stem is coming out of the ground for a green plant or something with a living root, it's going to let water and air in here. Now with this area, it just kind of came here, sat there, and then ran off because it didn't sink into the ground. That's what cover crops do. That's the main reason. And also to hold the soil together over winter, because again, this is can just blow away in the wind. Cover cropping is so important because it's going to let air and water down. But you have to have help from a living plant to let that air and water down. If you till it, it's just going to come compact again within, let's say, a day or two. And even with this dry soil underneath, it's so lightweight that actually it doesn't penetrate in there because it doesn't have open pores or open spaces that a cover crop is like that tillage radish is going to do for you, or a daikon radish. It's just so important to get this information and understand it. So the cover crop is to extend it. Now that's why you do so well when you have your other things growing, like your tomatoes, your lettuce, your eggplant, your peppers, because that living root in the ground is going to accept it and allow air and water to get back in your soil. And also it's important that it evaporates out of your soil. It's a give and take all the time. Again, your soil should be 50% air, a total of 50% air and water to combine together. It's just the way it is, and that's how nature survives droughts, and also how it enhances the nutritional value of your crop that you plant up. A beautiful shot showing how nice things have greened up once again with just that 3/4 inch of rain in a couple days. The trees are vibrant. It's only about 70 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and everything is doing well. So all this month I'm going to be talking about cover cropping. Lots to go over. I want to answer every single one of your questions so you feel comfortable about what you need to know about cover cropping. Again, the reason today that we discuss cover cropping is to access water and air back into your soil. That's the main reason. And also it builds soil and will allow all the microorganisms to grow and the fungi to grow back in your soil. You never want to leave your soil bare. It is so important. But the main goal so far is going to get that air and water back in your soil, because a living root is the only way it does it. And that's designed by nature. nature. Mankind has never understood this, but until now, and it's doing well, and people are following these rules and getting great success with it. I understand this was a very short video, but I want to get one strong point across to you. Give it a good thumbs up, and I will see you shortly with another video about this tillage radish that I started, and hopefully it will grow a little bit better. I will see you in a few days with that, again with that video, and I thank you very much for watching, and happy gardening and happy cover cropping.